Hey, what's up everybody? Today I want to talk about a coolant problem with my SLK 200 R170. It's the 4-cylinder 2-liter naturally aspirated version, and you can see here my coolant level light is on and the temperature gauge is actually higher than normal. So that is indicating that I have a problem with the coolant system. So what I'll do, turn the lights off, car off, leave the key in the ignition because otherwise we'll trip up alarms and stuff, and pop open the hood and let's take a look at what's up there. So actually I'm not gonna open the coolant reservoir right here because this is actually quite warm still and it might be pressurized, so you have to be careful with this. But you can see there's a lot of coolant down the side of my hoses there. I don't know if you can see that, but my entire bottom protection plate for the engine bay is full of coolant. So there is a leak either right there from that hose, or what I'm suspecting, as I've had this problem before, there's a hose right in here. I don't know if you can see that, and that's been leaking. I've tried to retighten that before, but it seems that's not doing anything at all. And also, you guys can't smell this, but I'm smelling coolant that's sort of burning up, drying up on the engine. It's really not a very pleasant smell at all. Now what I'll probably have to do is actually order this hose and clamps, as the one clamp on that side doesn't tighten properly with a screwdriver. And the other thing I might do, and this is probably going to be a separate video, but whilst the coolant is all out on my engine bay, I might as well take the opportunity to flush the entire coolant system out. And down there, just under the radiator, you might be able to see it, just round about there. There's a red little plastic knob, which I'm assuming is a drain valve for the entire radiator slash coolant system. So if I dismount the bottom plastic plate, I can first of all drain that out, and then also drain the entire system. Now normally if you're removing any hoses you would want to drain it out, but because I've lost so much coolant already, I probably don't even have to drain anything to replace that hose here. But well, let me get online and order some and then come back and replace it. There's actually two ways of doing this. One is you can remove the radiator fan plastic shield to get at that hose here, or what we can do is just remove these bolts right here for the reservoir fastening and take the reservoir out itself. Now, as I have quite a bit of coolant spread everywhere here, I might have to go and find some cloth and then wipe this engine bay down. This is much too much. I've even got coolant marks back here and over here on the master brakes container there. And I was kind of wondering, even there you can see it on the exhaust manifold, here on my servo pump housing. Probably what has happened, because of course we have the grill right here, so when you're driving at any given speed, the air will push through. Whatever drips from this reservoir will fall out here at the air throughput and be blown across the engine like this. So yeah, I think I have a bit of a cleaning job here to do. There we are. I've given that a bit of a wipe down. Looks a lot cleaner than before. That's because I never bothered cleaning inside here. And now I'm actually ready to go order my parts and fix this up. I guess if you have some spare hoses lying around, you could do it that way. I don't know what the size this is yet, so I'll have to figure it out, but I'll probably just see online what we have available. Now that the reservoir has actually cooled down sufficiently, I just wanted to give you a quick glimpse into it, and you can see the entire canister is actually drained and the float slash switch has sunk to the bottom, signaling the car that we have a problem, which is of course why the light came on. So yeah, that's not really looking too good. What you can do, of course, if you have a problem like that, have a few bottles of coolant around so you can keep on filling that up as you're driving, so you prevent your engine from overheating. Keep an eye on your temperature readings in the car. But I don't really have a very long way to go, so I'm just gonna do that with a cooled down engine. I should be fine. So to get the coolant reservoir out, which is also your overpressure or expansion tank, I'm not sure what the official title is, but we'll need the Phillips head screwdriver here to remove the clamps of the hose that we're trying to remove, and a 10mm hex socket. Now also, I've went and got some coolant for the car, and really you can find two common types. One is kind of blue in color and the other one is this red one. The blue is a type G11 and this is a type G12. The main difference is that apart from distilled water and additives, this has a longer lasting life. So this should last the life of the car, apparently from new. Well, mine has 200,000 kilometers on the clock, so I'm pretty sure this will last the end of life of the car. But the difference is between the blue one, that's supposed to be changed every 50,000 kilometers apparently, or 80, and this is long life. Rule of thumb though, don't mix them together, but for the older vehicles it doesn't really matter which one you use. In this case I am using the G12. So here we have two 10 hex bolts that we're going to loosen up. That right here is the Phillips clamp on the hose, which is broken, so that will need to come out. Down here we have the electrical sensor that needs to be removed. That is for the float sensor in here to indicate full or empty. This is your overflow hose, so there's a little hole in here that when this expands with heat and it's overfilled, it leaks out into your engine bay. And right here is a rubber bushing to support the tank. Right, let's get this uncoupled. So first we get these bolts over here. They're a little bit rusty, but not too bad. That's coming loose nicely, and this one is also coming loose quite nicely. Actually, most of the coolant has already leaked out, so I don't really have to be too careful about draining it now. But check my other video for entire cooling flush. So we'll be doing that, and if your tank is full, then you should be doing that beforehand anyway. But I'll remove these. So that's those two removed, and then we go for the clamp here, which should loosen the hose, which is one of our problems that we're having. Still tight. These haven't been removed in a long time, so there you go, that comes out. And this comes out as well, and the tank is loose. It's still attached down there to the electrical sensor wire, so let's get that removed. But you can see I now have nice and clear access. That little sensor down here is actually a little bit peculiar. It's a twist sensor. So they're these little clamps that you need to twist to get that out, and then actually it pops straight out. And this is our culprit right here. You can see that the hose has been completely ripped and rotted through, and the coolant is just shooting out when this is under pressure, and therefore depleting our reservoir. So this is the type, what it says, and I'm pretty sure you can just get any hose with that sort of size, 8x15 apparently, and then cut that into shape and just attach it. You don't have to necessarily go to Mercedes-Benz. Also considering that in most parts of the world the parts for this vehicle are just a bit difficult to come by. So any hose from a dealership which is heat resistant and expansive, of course, because this will be handling pressure and heat, will fit. Now let's get the new one mounted. So it turns out I actually have a bit of a bigger problem than I initially suspected. First of all, whilst unclipping the sensor connector, I tore one of the cables out there. So I think this is something I can probably open up and maybe refit. Otherwise I have to get a new plug like this, I'm not sure. And the other thing is, on this reservoir slash tank, the connector to the hose is actually broken. You can see this moves, and behind it, right there, all the coolant can leak out. So this of course is a problem. The hose replacement itself won't fix that. So one very big tip when you are checking any of these hoses, as these pins are rather sensitive, check them for movement and cracks, because you will need one of these tanks. Now, yeah, not too happy about this. I don't know if you can read that. Now, this is the number I have here on the tank, just in case that's the OEM part number there. 170-500-0249. And I actually have to go out and order this. So we have a shoddy hose and a broken tank. So I went past a specialist shop to get some new hoses for the hose that was broken and clamps. I managed to get that. They cost anything at all. Was about €3, something like that. So quite cheap. And the guy in the shop actually had a pretty good idea. So one of the obvious things you can do is you can get these second-hand on the market. But as it turns out, this part is really difficult to come by. So there's no aftermarket for this, and there's very few junkyards that have it. I would have to order it from a different country even. But the other thing we can do, as this is broken, so we can actually fit a pipe, a steel pipe through here. So we'll cut that off, fit a pipe over, and fit a steel pipe that's exactly that sort of circumference. And I think that's been done before, as we can see here. And then fit the plastic back over the steel pipe, and then we should be good to go, and that's it. So it's a bit of a junk fix, but if that works, then you have a tip on how to actually fix your coolant reservoir. So I've just broken the piece off, and interestingly you can see actually that there's a pipe running through the entire centerpiece there. Now I'm not entirely sure if that's OEM, but looking at the other parts here, there's also some copper reinforcement on the inside, so I'm thinking it is. So instead of going out and buying a piece of pipe and fitting it, the extension that's on here actually fits into here quite snugly. So what I need to do now is find some glue, put this together. I'll put some kit around it so it doesn't leak, and this plastic bit fits the hose perfectly. So that should actually fix the reservoir. Right, it's gotten a little bit late now, it's dark, so I'm working with flashlights, but I've removed the underplate because it was full of coolant, so I cleaned that up and scrubbed it out. You can check a different video on how to do that. I haven't yet fixed this connector, so I need to open that up still. So I might do that on a different video, but I don't need the coolant sensor for now, so that's fine. So I've actually got the new hose in here, I've attached the clamps, and I've tightened the reservoir in place, and the leaking connector under here has the copper pipe through it, as you've seen, and has been glued on both sides, and it's also attached with another clamp. So what we have to do now is fill her up and start up the car. So here we go. I haven't really flushed the coolant, but I've got 5 liters in here. There should be about 9.8, but there's some remaining. We can see here that it's quite full. I'm seeing if there's any air bubbles coming out, but they're not at this point in time. So the overflow is also kind of working, so that's good. I'll let that run for a little while to see if anything else happens. But we're topped up, and by the looks of it, the leaks have stopped. I don't see this dripping anymore. I'll have to take it for a bit of a drive as well to see if anything else happens, but that's it. So I'll close this up, and if that was helpful to you, give the video a thumbs up, like the channel, subscribe, helps the results go up, and stay tuned. I'll be doing a bit more work in future on this car, so stick around for more. Thanks.